All right, here's a quick tip and trick about roasting pans. Here's a roasting pan I bought quite a while back, and I line it with foil. This comes with a V-rack, so it makes it easier to clean. But you could roast a turkey without buying one of these racks. You could go to the dollar store or go to the local supermarket and buy an aluminum tray, aluminum foil roasting pan, and they usually come in a 2-pack, and the aluminum tray is really kind of flimsy, so you want to use both at the same time. And on top of that, when you're pushing it in and out of the oven, you want to use something on put the aluminum tray on a solid base so it's easier to lift out, because if the tray is flimsy, you're trying to lift it up, it might buckle in the center. So use a sturdy sheet pan, put the aluminum trays in the sheet pan, and then put the turkey in there, and use a double layer. That way, if one leaks, the other one catches the juices, and if two leak, the sheet tray will catch the rest of the juices. And on top of that, it's no cleaning. Once you finish roasting, you just toss away the sheet pan. But I like using aluminum foil on the roasting pan. That is, it minimizes the washing. Although I said I'm not going to stuff the bird with dressing, what I am going to use is onion, celery, and green onion, and I'm going to brush the bird with melted butter and season with salt and pepper. And I have a little kitchen twine to tie the legs together. Basically, the purpose of these vegetables is not to really season the bird, but I think it's mainly for the juices. So you're kind of adding flavorful juices, so when you make gravy at the end, you have the traditional mirepoix flavors. Celery, onions. I don't have carrots, but you could add green onions or whatever you like. But it's seasoning the juices for the gravy. All right, the birds had the chance to dry. Now I'm gonna season even though this is already pumped and self-basting with the broth, I still like to season the outside of the bird to add flavor to the skin and the cavity. So just sprinkle salt, and the amount is just by eye. Imagine you're just eating the bird and you season it accordingly. You don't want to over salt it. Also, you want to add salt and pepper to the inside of the cavity. So there's salt and pepper. Just a nice dusting. I think the pepper adds flavor to the bird, especially the skin. And this helps season the juices. As I said, I'm not stuffing the bird with traditional cornbread or bread stuffing, but I am using aromatics. So I have celery, just break it in half, jam it in there. Some green onions, just and an onion. So I just happen to have leftover red onion, so I decided to just use it and just quarter it up. So this is about a half an onion right there. And also now I have some butter that I've melted, so I'm just going to brush the bird down. This will help crisp up the skin and add some flavor to the bird. So you could salt after you butter. This is unsalted butter, kind of think about it. And then you want to add some butter inside too. so the veggies melt. This is 1 stick of butter that I melted. You won't use it all this time around. What happens is midway through the cooking process, you'll baste it some more. So you just want to put a good coating of butter on the bird. Especially the exposed surfaces. And now I'll just transfer this to a roasting pan. So I buttered the other side. As you notice, I've prepped this at the sink instead of moving around. One thing about poultry is you try not to prep in different locations. If you stay in one location, your quote-unquote contamination is limited to that location. So as you see, the butter is solidifying on the bird, which is okay. And I have some extra butter left over for later. The pepper's still there, but I might just add a little more. Again, this is just eyeballing it. This is just to flavor the skin and any juices that come off. And maybe just a little more salt. So just a sprinkle of salt. I have veggies in there and butter in the cavity. Next thing is to truss the legs a little. When it bakes, the bird will want to splay out. And you know, we want this hen to be a proper lady. So we'll just tie the legs together real quick. That way when it roasts, it kind of comes out with a certain shape. So I'll just double it over and then tie a square knot or surgeon's knot. Wings are tucked so they don't burn. The legs are kind of tied together, so well, maybe I should, tails flipping out, so we're good. Sometimes depending on the turkey, if there's enough skin, you could actually push the leg drumsticks into the skin flap, but this is doesn't have that much skin, so I don't have that. I preheated an oven to 325, so this is, next step is to put it in the oven to roast. All right, here's the bird about ready to go into the 325 degree oven. I had some extra veggies that I prepped, so I just throw them around the outside of the bird. Again, this is the idea here, is if there are any juices coming out, it will flavor the juices. Maybe I should have put this, so tip, put the veggies before you put the bird down so you could really scatter it about. And also, if you're not using a V-rack and putting the bird directly on the roasting pan, you could put the veggies on the bottom and the bird will rest on top. So now it's about ready to go. I use the low and slow method, where you slowly cook the turkey and then you finish it off with high heat to brown the skin. And one thing about cooking in the oven for a while, this is about 2 hours low and slow, and then crank it up for the last hour. You don't want the skin to burn, so I'm gonna put a loose sheet of foil over the top to kind of protect the skin. So it's a nice little Quonset hut. It's not really touching the bird, it's kind of loose. And now into a 325 oven for about 2 hours. All right, the turkey's been in the oven for about 2 hours. I just took it out. And now I'm going to put another coat of butter. I jacked up the thermostat or the oven to 425, so it's heating. As you can see, the turkey is steaming, has little color, but now I'm gonna baste it with more butter. I've taken the remaining butter and melted in the microwave. So just giving a nice coating. Not too many juices on the bottom, but that's okay. I still like the aluminum foil to help protect the pan and minimize cooking, or I mean cleaning afterwards. Cooking is the easy part. It's the cleaning up that's can be a pain in the rear or just difficult. So just basting with butter, nice coating. Have extra butter left over, I'll just pour it down the center. Then into a hot oven for an hour. I think what I'll also do is put a oven thermometer into the turkey just to gauge how it's cooking. Ideally we want about 160. So I set it on 160, if you could see the time or the temperature, and look for a location to put it. Oh, one thing I forgot to do when I was prepping the turkey was to remove the wishbone. Yeah, I'll have to do that another time, or I could do it after cooking. So I'm going to shoot for the center, the thickest part. And into the oven until I reach 160 or about an hour. I want some good color on the skin. So into the oven. All right, the turkey's been at 425 for about 40 minutes, and the this thermometer said it was 160, but it was kind of freaking out, so I'm gonna have to check with instant read thermometer. We want, this hasn't popped up yet, we want about 160. So we'll see what this shows. So it's 160 and rising. So that means that should be done. The other part is to check the thigh. You want the thighs to be about 170. It's showing 160 and rising slowly. So I think this turkey is done. The color is looking nice. So I'm just going to let it rest and carve into it in a little bit. Pull out the thermometer, and usually when it comes straight out of the oven there's carryover, so the turkey should continue cooking for another 5-10 degrees depending on if it's stuffed or not. So I think we're in the ballpark and we're good. Next step is just to pull this onto a platter and let it rest.